Pupa was owned by one owner from the day she was given to the child in the 1920s until she died in 2005. The child and Pupa lived in Trieste, Italy at the time. Pupa is about 14 inches tall. The head, arms and legs are made of felt. The hair is reportedly made of real human hair. The owner cherished it throughout her life. The doll traveled from Italy to the United States, then back to Italy and across Europe, and finally ending up back in the USA. Pupa is still in her original clothes, a blue suit made of felt. The original owner said that Pupa was alive and had a mind of her own. She even told her grandchildren stories that it was her best friend and most beloved confidant. She told them Pupa talked to her over the years and even saved her life. Since the passing of the original owner in 2005, the family reports that the haunted doll has become very active and seems to want to be released from where she is kept. There are reposts that people discovering the glass of the case steamed white and inscribed on the steamy glass from the inside of the case by what appears to be a small child's fingertip. The words, "Pupa hate." Often she is said to push things around in the display case where the family who owns her keep her. Pupa is said to move by herself. Pupa was placed differently than when the family last saw her. More than once, the family have reported hearing a sound like someone tapping on glass as they pass Pupa's display case. When they turn to look, they have seen Pupa's hand pressed against the glass or her legs crossed when they were not before. This activity seems to be something in common with both Mandy and Robert. One member of the family reportedly managed to catch the doll rising to its feet and walking within the case on video. However, on the 3 occasions he tried to upload the video onto YouTube, the video was obscured with a mysterious thick white film and the words, "Pupa no," scribbled on the film in a childish handwriting. We at Watch have been unable to find out where Pupa is currently located. If anyone happens to know where this little one is located, we would like to know. I cannot help but wonder if Pupa wants to get out and be reunited with her beloved owner. It would be nice to have a happy doll story to talk about from time to time. Located in the Quesnel Museum in British Columbia, Mandy is an antique porcelain doll over 90 years old, supposedly made in Germany or England around 1910 or 1920. She was donated to the museum in 1991. What makes her so unusual is the powers some say she possesses. Her previous owner related to the museum all the strange things she is supposedly capable of. The donor would wake up to the sounds of a crying baby in the basement. Upon inspection, she found an open window and no baby. After Mandy was donated to the museum, the crying stopped. However, the museum staff and volunteers' problems were just beginning. Lunches would mysteriously disappear from the refrigerator and be found tucked away in a drawer. Objects such as pens, books and pictures would go missing. Some would turn up later. Others were never found. Footsteps were heard when no one was around. When she first arrived at the museum, Mandy didn't have a permanent place within the building. She sat facing the public entrance and provided fodder for visitors. Later, she was placed in a case alone in another part of the museum. Rumors stated she couldn't be placed with any other dolls, as she would harm them. Then again, she may not like being by herself after being locked in a room. Staff found papers thrown all around the room as if she allegedly had a tantrum. She's been known to play around with electrical equipment, causing them to malfunction. Visitors have claimed to feel uneasy or sad around her. Some say her eyes have a tendency to blink or follow people around the room. Her fingers and head move on their own as well. If Mandy is as bad as some say, how did she become possessed in the first place? No one knows for certain, although there's a possible legend. There is a story, which has the doll being trapped in a basement with a little girl. She died and supposedly her spirit became trapped within the doll. Many years after this allegedly happened, the doll was found in the basement after hearing a child crying. When they found it, the doll was crying tears of blood. Don't believe there is any evidence to prove this story to be fact or fiction as of now. Either way, it doesn't stop people from flocking to Quesnel Museum, hoping to see Mandy put on a show. Annabelle is an allegedly haunted doll residing in the Warren Occult Museum in Monroe, Connecticut. The doll has served as the inspiration for the films The Conjuring and Annabelle. The doll has been compared to Robert the Doll. The actual doll is a rag doll, unlike the films which portray her as a porcelain doll. The doll was given as a gift in the 1970s to 28-year-old nursing student Donna. It was purchased at a second-hand Raggedy Ann store. Donna's roommate, Angie, was the first to notice strange occurrences in the doll. She purported that the doll would move on its own, sometimes crossing its arms or legs. Both noticed that sometimes doors, which had been left open, would close when no one was home. The roommates also found notes with the words, "Help us," written. A spirit medium was hired and believed the spirit of a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins, who died on the property, possessed the doll. However, Annabelle later became malevolent and attacked a mutual friend named Lou. Angie and Donna hired Ed and Lorraine Warren, two established demonologists, to investigate. The Warrens claimed the doll was possessed not by a spirit, but a demon. A priest was hired to exorcise the apartment, and the doll was taken by the Warrens and placed in a museum with the sign, "Warning, positively do not touch." Robert, otherwise known as Robert the Doll, Robert the Haunted Doll, or Robert the Enchanted Doll, is a doll that was once owned by Key West painter and author Robert Eugene Otto. The doll is alleged to be possessed by spirits, and has a terrifying reputation. Robert was the inspiration for Chucky, the doll, in the 1988 horror film Child's Play. The doll, which is supposedly cursed, has become a fixture of ghost tours in the Key West area since it was inducted into the 40s Martello Museum. Aesthetically, Robert resembles an early 20th century American sailor, contrary to popular belief. However, the doll's hair is not made of human hair, but rather, it consists of a synthetic material resembling wool yarn. Supposedly, Eugene was given the doll in 1906 by a Bahamian servant who was skilled in black magic and voodoo, and was displeased with the family. Soon afterward, the family supposed that there was something eerie about the doll. Eugene's parents often heard him talking to the doll and supposed that the doll spoke back, although at first they assumed that Eugene was simply answering himself in a changed voice. They claimed to have later realized that the doll was actually speaking. Neighbors claimed to have seen the doll moving from window to window when the family was out. Sometimes the doll would emit a terrifying giggle, and the Otto family caught glimpses of it running from room to room. In the night, Eugene would scream, and when his parents ran to the room, they would find furniture knocked over and Eugene in bed, looking incredibly scared. telling them that Robert did it. In addition, guests claimed to have seen Robert's expression change before their eyes, and he often blinked. When Eugene died in 1974, the doll was left in the attic until the house was bought again. The new family included a 10-year-old girl, who became Robert's new owner. It was not long before the girl began screaming out in the night, claiming that Robert moved about the room and even attempted to attack her on multiple occasions. More than 30 years later, she still tells interviewers that the doll was alive and wanted to kill her. The doll is annually rotated to the old post office and custom house in October. Strange activity in the museum supposedly increases during such times. The doll was shown at TAPSCon 11, a paranormal convention held in Clearwater, Florida in May 2008. This was the first time that it had left Key West, Florida in its then 104 years of existence. The doll is currently located at the East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. The doll was originally purchased in 1918 by a 17-year-old boy named Daikichi Suzuki while visiting Sapporo for a marine exhibition. He bought the doll on Tanuki-koji, Sapporo famous shopping street, as a souvenir for his 2-year-old sister, Okiku. The young girl loved the doll and played with it every day, but the following year, she died suddenly of a cold. The family placed the doll in the household altar and prayed to it every day in memory of Okiku. Sometime later, they noticed the hair had started to grow. This was seen as a sign that the girl's restless spirit had taken refuge in the doll. The Okiku doll has resided at the Maninji Temple in the town of Iwamizawa, Hokkaido Prefecture, since 1938. According to the temple, the traditional doll initially had short cropped hair, but over time it has grown to about 25 centimeters long down to the doll's knees. Although the hair is periodically trimmed, it reportedly keeps growing back. Nobody has ever been able to fully explain why the doll's hair continues to grow. However, one scientific examination of the doll supposedly concluded that the hair is indeed that of a young child.